Be me, 47-year-old devoted mother. Raised my son Daniel alone after his father left when he was 3. Always told myself I'd give him a better understanding of equality than I ever had growing up. Spent years reading, learning, attending community meetings about women's rights. Made sure Daniel understood from a young age that women deserve respect, equal pay, bodily autonomy. Thought I was doing everything right. Fast forward to now. Daniel is 26, successful software engineer, good kid. Been dating someone named Emma for over a year. I know this because his aunt mentioned it at Christmas. Daniel never told me himself. Every time I ask about his personal life, he changes the subject. Mom, work's been crazy. Mom, can we talk about something else? It stings, but I try not to push. Then his aunt lets slip they're actually serious. Been together 18 months, not just a year. Emma's met his father's new wife, all his cousins, everyone except me. Feel like I've been punched in the stomach. That night I called Daniel. Honey, your aunt mentioned Emma. I'd love to meet her sometime. Long pause on the phone. Yeah, maybe. We're both really busy though. Daniel, you've been together over a year. I'm your mother. I know, Mom. The timing hasn't been right. Timing hasn't been right for 18 months? Something is deeply wrong here. Spend the next week turning it over in my mind. What did I do wrong? I've always been there for him. Worked 2 jobs to keep him in good schools. Never missed a soccer game, a parent-teacher conference. Taught him to respect women, to question authority, to stand up for what's right. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe Emma is one of those women. You know the type. The ones who claim to support equality, but then expect men to pay for everything. The ones who say they're feminists, but still want to be traditional wives. The ones who've internalized the patriarchy so deeply they don't even see it. Maybe Daniel's embarrassed because he knows I'll call out the hypocrisy. I've done it before. Remember when Daniel was 16, brought home his girlfriend Sarah. Sweet girl, or so I thought. Until she mentioned she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom someday. That's a choice, of course, and I said, but you should know it's the choice the patriarchy has conditioned you to want. Women have fought for decades, so you could have career options. Throwing that away to depend on a man financially is basically spitting on the suffragettes' graves. Sarah looked uncomfortable. Daniel was red in the face. Mom, can we not do this right now? I'm just having a conversation, honey. Sarah didn't come back after that. Daniel didn't talk to me for a week, but I was trying to educate her, trying to help her see beyond the conditioning. Was I supposed to just smile and nod while a young woman limited herself? Or the time with his friend Marcus? Marcus was over for dinner. Daniel was maybe 19. Marcus mentioned his dad had just gotten a promotion. That's great, I said. What does your mother do? Oh, she doesn't work. She takes care of the house. Raised my eyebrows. So she does work. Unpaid labor that enables your father's career. I guess? You guess? Marcus, your mother's labor is subsidizing your father's success, and she sees none of the financial benefit or professional recognition. That's a direct result of patriarchal structures that devalue women's contributions. Daniel kicked me under the table. Marcus left early. Daniel exploded at me after. Why do you have to do that? Why can't you just have a normal conversation? I was having a normal conversation. I was pointing out reality. You were making my friend uncomfortable in our home. If reality makes him uncomfortable, maybe he should examine why. Daniel slept at his dad's that week. His dad who left me for his secretary. His dad who's the exact kind of man I've tried to teach Daniel not to become. But somehow I'm the problem. Think about the time Daniel's grandmother came to visit. His father's mother never liked me. She was going on about some neighbor's divorce. Well, she let herself go after the wedding. Can't blame him for looking elsewhere. I couldn't let that slide. Actually, we absolutely can blame him. Marriage vows don't have a weight clause. The expectation that women must maintain a certain appearance or deserve betrayal is exactly the kind of misogynistic garbage that props up rape culture. Grandmother clutched her pearls. Rape culture? I'm talking about a marriage. And I'm talking about the underlying assumption that men are entitled to women's bodies only when those bodies meet their standards. That entitlement is the same ideology that excuses assault. Daniel's grandmother left the next morning. Didn't visit again for 3 years. Daniel was furious. She's an old woman, Mom. She grew up in a different time. Which is exactly why she needs to be educated. She doesn't need to be educated. She needs to be respected. She's my grandmother. Respect is earned, not given based on age or relation. Looking back now, these memories hurt. But I stand by what I said. Those things needed to be said, didn't they? Couple weeks after the phone call, Daniel agrees to Sunday dinner, just the two of us. I'm hopeful. Maybe he'll bring Emma. He doesn't. We sit down. I made his favorite, lasagna. So, I start carefully. Tell me about Emma. He pushes food around his plate. She's great. She's a veterinarian. We met through mutual friends. I'd really like to meet her, honey. Yeah, Mom, I know. So why haven't I? He sets down his fork, looks at me with this expression I've never seen before. Tired, sad, frustrated all at once. Do you really want to know? Of course I do. He takes a deep breath. Because I'm ashamed of you. The words hit like a slap. What? I'm ashamed of you, Mom. I'm embarrassed by you. And I know that if Emma meets you, there's a good chance I'll lose her, and I can't risk that because I actually love her. My hands are shaking. Daniel, I don't understand. Yes, you do. You absolutely do. You've just chosen to ignore it for my entire life. He's not yelling. Almost wish he was yelling. His voice is just flat, exhausted. Every friend I've ever brought home, you've lectured. Every girlfriend I've had, you've driven away. Every family gathering turns into a political debate because you can't just let things go. I was trying to educate. I don't care, Mom. I don't care about your justifications anymore. He pulls out his phone, shows me his notes app. There's a list, a long list. I started keeping track 2 years ago. Every time you did something that embarrassed me or hurt someone I cared about. He scrolls. The list goes back further than 2 years, much further. November 2019, Mom told my coworker Jake that his wife wanting to take his last name was internalizing ownership at Thanksgiving dinner. Jake stopped talking to me for a month. March 2020, Mom spent an hour explaining to Aunt Linda why her choice to be a homemaker perpetuates women's oppression at Uncle Bob's funeral reception. At his funeral reception, Mom. I remember that. Linda had been going on about her grandchildren, about how fulfilling it was to support her husband's career. Someone had to point out the problematic nature. July 2020, Mom told my friend group that them watching football was supporting an institution built on toxic masculinity and the commodification of men's bodies. I stopped getting invited to watch games. October 2021, Mom argued with Emma's father about the wage gap for 45 minutes at my company holiday party. Wait, Emma was at his holiday party? That was over a year ago. She was there? She was there, Mom. She was my date. I introduced her as my friend because I knew if I said girlfriend, you'd corner her. And you still cornered her dad. I don't even remember this. He said something about how his company was having trouble finding qualified female engineers, and I explained that the pipeline problem is a myth perpetuated to excuse discriminatory hiring. You lectured my girlfriend's father about his own industry, in which he's worked for 30 years, at a Christmas party. Emma spent the whole drive home silent. Took me 3 days to convince her I wasn't like you. The words "wasn't like you" echo in my head. Daniel, I have strong beliefs. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm not asking you to apologize for your beliefs. I'm asking you to recognize that the way you express them has consequences, and those consequences have shaped my entire life. He's still scrolling. You want more? There's more. May 2016, I told my girlfriend Sarah that wanting to be a stay-at-home parent was spitting on the suffragettes' graves. I never saw Sarah again. She texted me that night saying she couldn't be with someone whose mother hated her. She didn't even hate your beliefs, Mom. She just wanted to make her own choices. But you couldn't allow that. I remember Sarah. Sweet girl, traditional. I was trying to help her see. February 2015, Mom spent my 18th birthday party explaining to my friends why Valentine's Day was a capitalist, heteronormative construct. It wasn't even Valentine's Day, Mom. It was my birthday. But someone mentioned having Valentine's plans, and you couldn't help yourself. He finally looks up from his phone. His eyes are wet. Do you know what it's like to grow up never being able to just exist? Every conversation is a minefield. Every friend I bring home gets a lecture. Every holiday is ruined because you can't go 2 hours without turning something into a political debate. I learned to stop bringing people around by the time I was 12. 12. He was so young. I thought I was teaching you critical thinking. You were teaching me that your need to be right was more important than my relationships, that your ideology mattered more than my comfort, my friends, my life. Stand up from the table. Need to defend myself. Daniel, the world is built on systems of oppression. Someone has to point them out. Why does it always have to be you? Why does it have to be at every single moment? Why couldn't you just be my mom sometimes instead of an activist 24/7? The word activist feels wrong. I'm not an activist. I just care about justice. I'm not an activist, You are, though. That's all you are. It's your entire personality. Dad's not a great person. I know that. He's shallow. He left you for someone younger. He's exactly the kind of guy you warned me about. But you know what? I can have dinner with him and his wife, and it's just dinner. We talk about sports, about work, about normal things. It's shallow, but it's peaceful. With you, every single interaction is exhausting. That hurts more than anything else. Exhausting. I'm your mother. I'm not supposed to be easy. I'm supposed to challenge you. No, Mom. You're supposed to love me. You're supposed to make me feel safe and supported. Not like I'm constantly under interrogation for thought crimes. He sits back down, puts his head in his hands. Emma is traditional in some ways. She wants kids. She wants to split holidays with both families. She actually gets along with her parents. She's also a doctor of veterinary medicine who runs her own practice. She's brilliant and kind, and she treats me like an equal partner. But I know that if you meet her, you'll find something to criticize. You'll find some way she's not feminist enough. Some choice she's made that you disagree with. And you won't be able to help yourself from saying something. I want to protest, want to say I wouldn't. But I think about Emma wanting it, Emma being traditional in some ways. Would I be able to bite my tongue? If she mentioned wanting to take Daniel's last name, if she talked about traditional gender roles in parenting, if she said something I found problematic, the honest answer scares me. I met her parents 6 months ago, Daniel continues. Her dad is exactly the kind of guy you'd hate. Conservative, successful businessman, traditional values. He made some comments about gender roles that I personally disagreed with. But I smiled and nodded because he's Emma's father and she loves him. Because sometimes keeping the peace is more important than being right. Her mom asked if Emma would take my last name when we get married, and I said that was up to Emma. And we all moved on. No lecture, no debate, no 45-minute dissertation on patriarchal naming conventions. When we get married, he said when, not if. This is serious. This is my son planning a future with someone I've never met, because he's too ashamed of me to introduce us. Daniel, I don't even know what to say. He wipes his eyes. Aunt Jen told me I should just lie to Emma about you. Say you're dead or we're estranged. Uncle Tom said I should introduce you, but warn you first to behave. Like you're a badly trained dog I need to apologize for in advance. That's what my family thinks of you, Mom. Not that you're passionate or principled. That you're someone who needs to come with a warning label. Jen said that? Tom? My siblings think I need to be warned about? They said that? They've been saying it for years. You just haven't been listening. Think about family gatherings. The way conversations stop when I enter a room. The way my brother changes subjects when I sit down. The way my sister always seats me at the end of the table. Thought they were trying to exclude me because of my beliefs. Because they couldn't handle the truth. What if they were just trying to protect everyone else from me? Your grandmother won't come to visits anymore if she knows you'll be there, Daniel says quietly. Dad's side of the family stops inviting me to things because they know you might come. I've had 3 serious relationships end because of you. And I'm not losing Emma. He stands up. So, here's what's going to happen. Emma and I are getting engaged next month. We're having an engagement party. And you're not invited. Feel like the floor is disappearing. Daniel, please. When we get married, probably next year, you're not walking me down the aisle. Not because Dad's doing it. Neither of them are. Emma and I are walking in together as equals. But even if I wanted a parent to walk me down, it wouldn't be you. Because I don't trust you not to ruin it. I'm crying now. Can't help it. I'm your mother. I raised you alone. I sacrificed everything for you. I know, and I'm grateful for the sacrifices. I am. But sacrificing for me doesn't give you the right to sabotage my life. It doesn't. Earn you a free pass to drive away everyone I care about. He picks up his jacket. I'm going to go. Emma's waiting for me. We're going to her parents' house for dinner, where I'll sit with her traditional conservative father and we'll talk about golf and the weather, and it will be fine. Because I've learned to just let people be who they are. Maybe you should try it sometime. He heads for the door. I follow him, desperate. Daniel, wait. I can change. I can be better. I can meet Emma and I won't say anything. I'll just smile and nod and... He turns back. The look on his face is pure sadness. Mom, you've never just smiled and nodded in your life. It's not in you. And I've accepted that. But I can't let it destroy the best thing that's ever happened to me. So I'm choosing Emma. I'm choosing my future. And I'm choosing peace. He opens the door. Maybe in a few years, if you've actually worked on yourself, we can try again. But for now, I need distance. I'll call you on your birthday and holidays. But that's it. And he leaves. I stand in the doorway watching his car pull away. Go back inside. The lasagna is getting cold on the table. His list is still open on his phone. He forgot it. I pick it up, scroll through. Dozens of entries. Years of incidents I justified. People I hurt. Relationships I destroyed. All in the name of truth. All in the name of justice. All in the name of being right. There's one from when he was 14. Mom told my girlfriend that wearing makeup was participating in the beauty industry's oppression of women. She was wearing mascara. We were going to a dance. One from when he was 10. Mom argued with my friend's dad about whether boys should play with trucks. Made everyone uncomfortable at the birthday party. Didn't get invited back. One from when he was 8. Mom told my teacher that having a Mother's Day card assignment was heteronormative and excluded non-traditional families. I had to sit in the hall during the craft. Other kids asked why my mom was mad. 8 years old. Sitting in the hall while his classmates made cards. Because I had to make a point. I sit on the floor, still holding his phone. My whole body feels heavy. Spent his entire childhood making him different. Making him the kid with the weird mom. The kid who couldn't just have friends over. The kid who learned to lie about his home life. Thought I was raising him to be conscious, to be aware, to fight injustice. Instead, I raised him to be ashamed, to keep his distance, to choose peace over his own mother. My phone rings. It's my sister Jen. Hey, did Daniel talk to you? Yes. My voice sounds hollow. And? He's not inviting me to his engagement party. Long pause. I'm sorry. I know that hurts. Did you really tell him to lie and say I was dead? Another pause. I told him he needed to do what was best for his relationship, even if that meant limiting contact with you. Why? Can hear her sigh. Do you really not know? Apparently not. You remember Thanksgiving 2 years ago? I try to remember. There have been so many holidays. You told my daughter that her engagement ring was a symbol of ownership dating back to when women were property. She had been engaged for 3 days. She cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes. I remember now. The ring was huge, symbol of excess, of performing wealth, of traditional patriarchal structures. I was trying to make her think critically. She needed to understand the historical context. She needed to be happy. Jen's voice rises. She needed her family to be happy for her. Instead, you made her feel stupid and ashamed, just like you've made Daniel feel his whole life. That word again, ashamed. I'm not trying to make people ashamed. I'm trying to educate. Nobody asked you to educate them. Jen is yelling now. She never yells. Nobody wants to be educated at Thanksgiving dinner. Nobody wants to be lectured at funerals. Nobody wants every single conversation to turn into a referendum on their choices. We just want to exist without being interrogated. She's crying. You're my sister, and I love you. But you're exhausting. Every family event is stressful because we're all walking on eggshells. Wondering what will set you off this time. Wondering who you'll make cry. Wondering what relationship you'll damage with your need to be right. I have beliefs too, I say weakly. I know you do, and that's fine. But there's a difference between having beliefs and weaponizing them. You don't discuss, you attack. You don't educate, you berate. And you've lost your son because of it. She hangs up. Sit there with 2 phones now, mine and Daniel's. Both screens dark, both connections severed. Think about who I've become. Think about who I meant to be. After Daniel's father left, I was angry. Angry at him, at the world, at the system that made it so easy for him to abandon us. I channeled that anger into learning, into understanding oppression, into fighting injustice. Somewhere along the way, the fighting became everything, became my identity, became more important than the people I was supposedly fighting for. Daniel's list is still open. I read through it again. Every entry is a moment I chose being right over being kind, chose my ideology over my relationships, chose my need to speak truth over my son's need for a peaceful home. And I told myself it was for him. Told myself I was teaching him. Told myself someone had to stand up. But he never asked me to stand up. He asked me to be his mom. And I couldn't do it. Couldn't turn it off. Couldn't just let people be wrong. Couldn't prioritize his needs over my need to educate. Think about Emma, this woman I've never met. This woman my son loves enough to cut off his own mother for. She's probably wonderful. Probably makes him happy. Probably gives him the peace he never had growing up. and I'll never know her. Because I can't be trusted. Because even now, even after all this, part of me is thinking about what I'd say to her, about the questions I'd ask, about the problematic things I'd need to point out. And that's the sickness, isn't it? That's the addiction. Not to justice, not to truth, but to being the smartest person in the room, to correcting everyone, to making sure my voice is heard above all others. I convinced myself it was activism, convinced myself it was necessary. But really, it was just ego, just the need to feel superior, wrapped in the language of social justice. My phone buzzes. Text from Daniel. I forgot my phone. I'll get it next week. Don't read my notes. Too late. But at least he's still talking to me. At least he's planning to see me next week. That's something. I text back. I read them. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. 3 dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. Okay. That's all. Just okay. Not it's fine or I forgive you. Just acknowledgement. That's all I deserve. Spend the next week thinking, really thinking, maybe for the first time in years, about what I want, about what matters. I want to know my son's wife. I want to meet my grandchildren someday. I want to be invited to holidays. I want my family to not dread seeing me. But more than that, I want Daniel to not be ashamed. Want him to feel like he had a good childhood. Want him to remember me as someone who loved him, not someone who used him as a captive audience. The beliefs haven't changed. I still think the patriarchy is real. Still think women face systemic oppression. Still think people should question traditional structures. But maybe I can hold those beliefs without making them everyone else's problem. Maybe I can let people make their own choices. Maybe I can prioritize relationships over being right. Daniel comes to get his phone the next Sunday. I'm ready this time. No lasagna, no big production, just coffee. I read the whole list, I say when he sits down. I know. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to say I was trying to help or that my intentions were good. Because impact matters more than intention. And the impact of my behavior has been devastating. He looks surprised, like he expected a fight. I've spent this week thinking about who I've become, and I don't like it. I don't like that my own son is ashamed of me. I don't like that my family dreads seeing me. I don't like that I've destroyed your relationships and damaged your childhood. I slide a notebook across the table. I made my own list. Every person I can remember hurting with my need to be right. It's longer than yours. He picks it up, flips through, pages and pages. This goes back 20 years. I know. I'm going to apologize to all of them. Not to make excuses, not to explain. Just to say I'm sorry and I was wrong. Set down my coffee. I'm also going to therapy. Already made the first appointment. Because I need to figure out why I couldn't just let people be. Why I needed to control every conversation. Why I valued being right over being loved. Daniel is quiet, just listening. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking to meet Emma. I'm not asking for anything. I just want you to know that I heard you, and I'm going to work on myself. Not so you'll invite me to your wedding, but because this isn't who I want to be. He nods slowly. Okay. That's all I needed to hear. That you actually listened. We sit in silence for a moment. I do love you, Mom. I know. I love you too. More than any ideology, more than any principle. I just forgot to show it. He stands up, hesitates, then hugs me. First time in months, maybe years. I hold on maybe too long, but he doesn't pull away. I'll call you next week, he says. Okay. And Mom? Yes? Emma's father said something at dinner the other night. something about traditional gender roles that I disagreed with. And I wanted to correct him so badly. I wanted to explain why he was wrong. But then I remembered what it felt like growing up with you. And I just let it go. And you know what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He's still wrong, but everyone enjoyed dinner. And Emma squeezed my hand under the table, because she was proud of me for choosing peace. He heads to the door. Maybe that's the lesson. Not that beliefs don't matter, but that relationships matter more. And sometimes loving people means letting them be wrong. He leaves. I sit with those words. Sometimes loving people means letting them be wrong. Spent so many years thinking love meant correcting, meant educating, meant making sure everyone knew the truth. But all it did was push people away. My son is getting married to someone I've never met. I've lost years of his life to my own righteousness, lost relationships with my siblings, lost the respect of my family, all because I couldn't let people just be. The therapy appointment is on Wednesday. I'm terrified. Terrified of examining why I am the way I am. Terrified of finding out it's not noble. Terrified of discovering it was never about justice at all. But I owe it to Daniel. Owe it to everyone I've hurt. Owe it to myself. To figure out how to be someone who can be invited to family dinner without a warning label. Someone who can meet their son's fiancée without destroying the relationship. Someone who can hold their beliefs without weaponizing them. It won't be easy. Old habits are hard to break. Just yesterday, I almost corrected a cashier who called me sweetheart. Almost launched into a lecture about diminutive terms and infantilization of women. Then I thought about Daniel. Thought about his list. Thought about Emma squeezing his hand under the table. And I just said thank you and left. It felt wrong. Felt like betraying myself. But maybe that's what growth feels like. Maybe it's supposed to be uncomfortable. Don't know if Daniel will ever invite me to meet Emma. Don't know if I'll be at the wedding. Don't know if I'll get to know my grandchildren. But I know I can't keep being who I've been. Can't keep choosing righteousness over relationship. Can't keep making my loved ones pay the price for my convictions. The beliefs are still there. The anger at injustice is still there. But maybe I can learn to express them differently. Maybe I can learn to pick my battles. Maybe I can learn that every moment doesn't have to be a teaching opportunity. Maybe I can learn to just be someone's mom, not an educator, not an activist, just a mom who loves her son and wants to be part of his life. It's a small goal, but right now it feels impossible. Sitting here with my list of people I've hurt, with Daniel's phone full of memories of pain I caused, with the knowledge that my own family sees me as a problem to be managed. It's the hardest thing I've ever faced. Harder than raising a kid alone. Harder than any protest or march or difficult conversation. Because this time I can't blame the patriarchy. Can't blame systemic oppression. Can't blame anyone but myself. And that's the real work. Not changing the world, but changing myself. So that maybe, someday, my son won't be ashamed to introduce me to the woman he loves. So that maybe, someday, I can sit at a family dinner and just be there. Not as an activist or educator or crusader, just as a mother, a sister, a grandmother. Just as someone who loves and is loved. It's a small dream, but it's mine. And for the first time in years, I'm going to fight for something that actually matters, not a principle or ideology, but a relationship with my son. And maybe that's what I should have been fighting for all along.